The sun rose softly over Enchantia, its golden light spilling across the castle towers like a warm hug. Princess Sofia stretched in her royal bed, feeling the familiar excitement that came with a new day at Royal Prep Academy. She had her amulet shining at her neck, her satchel ready, and a heart open to whatever adventure the day might bring. As she trotted to the grand marble halls with Clover hopping alongside, the castle seemed to hum with extra buzz that morning. "Something's going on," Clover said, twitching his nose. "I can smell new magic in the air, or maybe that's just the kitchen." Sofia giggled, adjusting her crown. "Let's hope it's the first one." When Sofia arrived at Royal Prep, Headmistress Flora was already floating before the class, wand twinkling with sparkles of light. "Attention, students," she chimed. "We have a very special new student joining us today. Please welcome Wendell." The doors creaked open, and in walked a boy about Sofia's age, with a tall wizard hat that seemed too big for his head and a wand that glowed unevenly. His robe was wrinkled, his hair was tousled, and there was a small scorch mark on his sleeve, probably from a spell gone wrong. He gave a crooked smile and muttered, "Hi, I'm Wendell." The class murmured politely, though Amber leaned over to James and whispered, "He doesn't exactly look royal." Sofia shot her sister a look. She knew better than to judge someone by appearances. Professor Popov introduced Wendell to his seat beside Sofia, and the lessons began. It didn't take long for Wendell's unique way of doing things to show. When Professor Popov demonstrated how to use wands to gently lift feathers, Wendell flicked his wrist too fast and sent the entire basket of feathers flying like a whirlwind around the room. The students ducked and laughed, and even Mr. Cedric, who happened to peek in from the hallway, muttered, "Another magical menace in training." Sofia noticed Wendell's face fall a little as the laughter echoed. After class, she approached him kindly. "Hey, that was a pretty strong spell. You've got power, you just need to control it." Wendell shrugged. "Everyone thinks I mess things up. My mom says I should do things my own way, but maybe my way just isn't right." Sofia smiled gently. "Maybe your way just needs practice. I used to think I wasn't ready to be a princess, but I learned it's okay to make mistakes while finding your own path." Wendell's eyes brightened slightly, though he didn't say much. "Maybe," he mumbled. As the day went on, Sofia saw more of Wendell's attempts. Levitation charms that lifted too high, dancing spells that made brooms twirl wildly, and even a conjuring spell that filled the corridor with frogs. The fairies tried to be patient, but it was clear Wendell's way was causing quite a commotion. That evening, Sofia sat in the castle garden, thinking. "He's not bad at magic," she said to Clover, who was munching on a carrot. "He just doesn't know how to balance it. Maybe if he had a friend to guide him, he could learn to do things his way, but the right way too." Clover nodded. "You're the queen of helping people find their way. Princess, go show him how it's done." Sofia smiled at the thought. Tomorrow, she would try something new. She'd help Wendell learn his way, but with heart focus and maybe a sprinkle of royal teamwork. As the stars shimmered over Enchantia, Sofia's amulet glowed faintly, as if sensing another adventure of friendship and learning just about to begin. The next morning, Royal Prep buzzed with excitement once again. Word had spread fast about Wendell, the boy whose spells never quite worked as planned. Some students whispered about him in the hallways, while others giggled behind their hands. Sofia didn't like that one bit. She remembered how it felt to be new, how everyone had watched her every move when she first became a princess. That's why she made up her mind. Today, she'd help Wendell. When she reached the classroom, Wendell was already there, sitting with his wand in his lap and an expression halfway between frustration and determination. "Morning," Sofia greeted warmly as she took her seat. "You ready to give another go?" Wendell sighed. "I guess, but every time I try to follow the rules, something goes wrong. Maybe I should just quit before I turn the whole castle upside down." Before Sofia could answer, Headmistress Flora floated in. "Today's lesson," she announced, "is all about precision. We'll be practicing transformation spells. Everyone, please transform your teacups into teapots." The class began chanting the simple spell. Their teacups shimmered and reshaped neatly into teapots, except Wendell's. His teacup trembled, spun, and exploded into a cloud of glittering smoke. When it cleared, a small talking teapot with a mustache stood on his desk, huffing indignantly. "Well, that's quite unorthodox," it said. The class burst into laughter. Wendell's ears turned pink as he slumped in his chair. Flora sighed and, with a flick of her wand, returned the teapot to normal. "Perhaps, Wendell, you could use a bit more discipline." After class, Sofia found him sitting on the academy steps, staring at his wand. "Don't let it get to you," she said gently. "That was still magic. It just didn't go the way you wanted." Wendell frowned. "I just wish people would stop laughing. I'm trying. My mom always told me to find my own way to make magic, but maybe my way is wrong." Sofia thought for a moment. "What if we try your way together? You show me what you usually do, and we'll see if we can make it better." Wendell looked up, surprised. "You'd help me?" "Of course," Sofia said with a smile. That's what friends do. They decided to meet after class in the courtyard, where there was plenty of open space, and fewer things to accidentally set on fire. Wendell demonstrated how he focused his magic, swirling his wand in small circles before casting. "See? I feel the energy move, but then it gets all tangled." Sofia watched closely. "Maybe it's because you're rushing. Try slowing down. Let the magic follow your rhythm." He hesitated, then nodded. Together, they practiced. Wendell breathed deeply, waved his wand slower this time, and whispered the words. This time, a flower pot glowed softly and bloomed into a perfect white lily. Sofia gasped. "You did it." Wendell blinked, then broke into a grin. "I didn't I?" But before they could celebrate, a sudden gust of magical wind whipped through the courtyard, spinning leaves and petals into a glittering tornado. The lily flew out of Wendell's hand and burst into dozens of glowing butterflies that fluttered wildly across the school grounds. Students ran out, pointing at the sky in awe as the butterflies shimmered like tiny stars. Wendell's smile faded. "Oh, I didn't mean to do that." Sofia laughed softly. "Well, at least it's pretty magic this time." Wendell chuckled, scratching the back of his head. "Yeah, but I think I might have just started another royal prep disaster." As they stood surrounded by glowing butterflies, Sofia's amulet gave a faint purple gleam, as if at SE. A week later, excitement filled the halls of royal prep. It was time for the Royal Magic Fair, one of the most celebrated events of the year. Students from all over the kingdoms came to show their magical skills and creative talents. Colorful banners fluttered across the courtyard, and the air smelled of caramel apples, glittered dust, and enchanted flowers that sang softly when you walked by. Sofia and Amber walked side by side, admiring the booths being set up. "It's my favorite day of the semester," Amber said, twirling. "Everyone gets to see how elegant and polished our spells are. I'm thinking of doing a golden charm display, something with sparkle and grace." Sofia smiled, though her thoughts were elsewhere. She glanced across the courtyard to see Wendell standing alone, looking at a small wand-shaped poster that read Magic Fair entry deadline. Today, his hat drooped slightly as he sighed. "Are you going to enter?" Sofia asked, walking up to him. Wendell kicked a pebble with his shoe. "I want to, but every time I try something big, it turns into chaos. I don't want to make a fool of myself again." "You won't," Sofia said gently. "You've been practicing every day this week, and you've gotten so much better. Remember that flower spell you did? It was beautiful." "Yeah," Wendell admitted, smiling faintly, until the flowers turned into butterflies and flew into the kitchen. "I still owe the chef an apology." Sofia giggled. "Accidents happen. Maybe your magic just needs a purpose, something that shows who you are." Wendell looked thoughtful. "Who I am?" He glanced at his wand, then nodded. "Maybe I can make a spell that shows how I see magic, wild, colorful, and alive." "That sounds perfect," Sofia said. "I'll help you get ready." They spent the afternoon preparing in the courtyard. Wendell practiced small parts of his spell. Glowing sparkles, shimmering waves, little dancing stars that followed the rhythm of his wand. Each time, he got a bit better at controlling them. But when they tried combining everything together, the magic flared too bright and fizzled out. "Ugh." Wendell groaned. sitting down on the grass. It's no use. My magic doesn't like to follow the rules. Sofia sat beside him, brushing off her dress. Maybe it's not about following the rules. Maybe it's about guiding them. You can't force your magic to behave. You have to work with it. Wendell stared at her, then smiled slowly. You sound like my mom. She used to say that too. Before they knew it, the fair had begun. Booths glowed with enchantments. Floating teacups, singing birds, shimmering dresses. The air buzzed with laughter and applause. When Wendell's turn came, he walked up the stage, nerves twisting in his stomach. He looked out at the crowd. Sofia in the front row. Clover perched on her shoulder, smiling with confidence in her eyes. Wendell raised his wand. Okay, he whispered. Time to try my way. He took a deep breath, focused, and swirled his wand in 3 graceful circles. A soft blue light formed in the air, twinkling like stars. Then came the golden shimmer, brighter this time, but steady. Finally, he released the magic with a gentle wave. Instead, an explosion. The light blossomed into a breathtaking scene. Shimmering ribbons of color that floated through the air, weaving themselves into glowing shapes of animals and flowers that danced above the stage. The audience gasped. It was wild, yes, but beautiful. Then, just as Wendell began to smile, one of the light ribbons twisted out of control, shooting toward the fair's grand banner and setting it ablaze with magical fire. The crowd screamed. Fairies rushed to put it out as Sofia leapt to her feet. Wendell froze, horrified. I didn't mean... Sofia ran forward. Don't panic. We can fix this together. With her guidance, Wendell steadied his wand, their magic combining, her calm, focused energy blending with his free-spirited spark. Together, they transformed the fiery glow into a cascade of golden stars that drifted harmlessly into the sky. The crowd erupted in applause. Wendell looked at Sofia, his eyes wide. We did it! Sofia smiled warmly. You did it, your way, but with heart. As the fair ended and the stars faded, Wendell finally believed something he never had before. Maybe his way wasn't wrong after all. The next morning, Royal Prep was alive with chatter about the Royal Magic Fair. Everywhere Sofia went, she could hear students talking about Wendell's spectacular performance and how he and Sofia had saved the show with their quick thinking. For the first time, Wendell wasn't being whispered about for his mistakes. He was being admired. When Sofia reached the courtyard, she found him sitting on the steps, his wizard hat tipped back and a shy grin on his face. Morning, Princess, he said, trying to sound casual but failing to hide his excitement. Guess what? Flora said my performance showed remarkable creativity, even if it nearly set the banner on fire. Sofia giggled. That's wonderful, Wendell. See? All you needed was a little confidence. He nodded, twirling his wand in his fingers. I couldn't have done it without you. You kept your cool when I was freaking out. I still don't know how you do that. Sofia smiled, because I've been there too. When I first came to Castle, I tried way too hard to be perfect. But my mom told me something I never forgot. Being yourself is the best kind of royal you can be. Maybe that's true for magic too. Wendell thought about that, then stood up suddenly. You know what? I want to make a spell that celebrates that. Something to show how much friendship can change things. Sofia's eyes sparkled. That sounds like a wonderful idea. They spent the afternoon in the practice courtyard, planning the spell together. Wendell called it the friendship spell. He wanted to create a magical light that reflected people's hearts, warm, kind, and colorful when friends worked together. It wasn't in any spell book. He was making it up from scratch. Sofia watched as Wendell practiced, waving his wand slowly and whispering his new incantation. The air shimmered with faint golden threads that glowed brighter the closer they stood together. Wow, Sofia breathed. It's like the magic feels our friendship. Exactly, Wendell said proudly. See, magic isn't just about power. It's about connection and trust. But when he tried to expand the spell, something went wrong. The golden thread snapped apart, swirling into chaotic sparks that darted around them like fireflies gone wild. Oh no! Wendell yelped, ducking as one spark singed the edge of his hat. Sofia quickly steadied her own wand. Focus, Wendell. Breathe. Don't fight the magic. Guide it. He closed his eyes, remembering her words, and took a slow, steady breath. Together, their wands glowed brighter, her amulet pulsing with soft purple light, and the wild sparks gathered into one beautiful burst. When the light faded, a glowing heart-shaped charm floated between them. Hovering gently in the air, it sparkled like starlight and hummed softly, radiating warmth. Sofia gasped, "You did it! Wendell, that's amazing!" He stared at the charm, awestruck. "We did it," he corrected. "You helped me believe I could." They watched as the charm drifted into the sky, leaving a faint golden trail that shimmered over the academy. All around, students began to notice, looking up with smiles. "What's that?" Amber asked, appearing beside them. Sofia grinned. "It's friendship magic, the best kind there is." Amber crossed her arms, pretending not to be impressed, though she smiled. "Well, it is rather pretty." When the charm finally vanished into the clouds, Wendell looked at Sofia with a thoughtful expression. "You know, maybe my way isn't just about being different. Maybe it's about using what makes me different to make things better." Sofia nodded proudly. "Exactly. Your way just needed a little kindness and a little faith." As the sun began to set behind the academy towers, Wendell and Sofia walked back together. Two friends who had just discovered something more powerful than any spell in a book, the magic of believing in each other. What neither of them knew was that tomorrow, Wendell's magic would be tested like never before, and their friendship would have to prove stronger than even the most unpredictable spell. The next morning dawned clear and calm, but there was something heavy in the air, a quiet kind of tension that even Sofia could feel as she rode to royal prep. Her amulet glimmered faintly, as if sensing that something important was coming. When she arrived, the halls were unusually quiet. Students whispered in small groups, glancing nervously toward the practice wing. "What's going on?" Sofia asked Hildegard. Hildegard leaned closer. "It's Wendell. He's been in the magic chamber since sunrise. I heard he's working on a huge new spell, something that could show the entire kingdom his magic." Sofia's eyes widened. "Alone?" Hildegard said with a knowing smirk. "You didn't hear it from me, but the last time someone tried that, the school's greenhouse ended up flying away." Sofia didn't wait another second. She hurried down the marble corridors toward the practice chamber. When she pushed open heavy doors, she found Wendell in the center of the room, surrounded by swirling lines of golden energy. His wand moved rapidly, tracing patterns in the air. "Wendell," she called out, "what are you doing?" He turned, startled, his concentration faltering slightly. "Sofia, I'm working on a new spell, one that combines everything I've learned. It's going to show everyone that my way really works." Sofia stepped closer, watching the energy twist and shimmer. "That's amazing, but this looks really strong. Are you sure it's safe to do it alone?" "I've got it under control," he insisted, though a flicker of uncertainty flashed in his eyes. "This is what I was meant to do, to make something big." Before Sofia could respond, the glowing threads around him began to pulse erratically, flickering like lightning. The air grew heavy, and the floor started to tremble. "Wendell, stop!" Sofia shouted, but it was too late. The energy exploded outward in a brilliant flash of gold. Sofia shielded her eyes as magic filled the room, books flying, curtains whipping, and sparks leaping off the walls. When the light dimmed, Wendell was still standing, panting, but something was wrong. The lines of light hadn't disappeared. They were unraveling, snaking through the air like living vines of magic. "Oh, no," Wendell whispered, his voice trembling. "I didn't finish the binding part. It's unraveling." Sofia grabbed his hand. "Then we have to fix it together. You started it. You can stop it." They ran through the room as the magic began to spread. Wherever the golden vines touched, they brought objects to life. Brooms sweeping on their own, paintings laughing, and books flapping open like birds. The once serene practice chamber had turned into a magical storm. "Think, Wendell, what was the last part of the spell?" Sofia called over the chaos. He tried to recall the incantation, his brow furrowed. "It was supposed to stabilize itself if I focused on harmony, but—" "Harmony," Sofia interrupted. "That's what we use in the friendship spell. You need to feel it, not force it. Taking a deep breath, Wendell raised his wand again. "All right," he said, voice steadying. "Let's do it our way." Sophia nodded and lifted her wand beside his. Together, they closed their eyes, their magic intertwining. Wendell focused on his wild energy, Sophia on her calm control. And for a moment, their hearts beat in rhythm. The golden vines hesitated, then began to retract, curling back toward the center of the room. The light dimmed, the tremor stopped, and silence filled the air once more. The chamber was safe again, but Wendell looked devastated. "I almost destroyed the school," he said quietly. "I thought I could handle it on my own." Sophia put a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to do everything alone. Real strength comes from knowing when to ask for help and trusting your friends." Wendell nodded slowly, tears glimmering in his eyes. "You're right. I got caught up in proving myself." Sophia smiled softly. "You already did, Wendell, not by being perfect, but by learning." As they walked out of the chamber, the sun broke through the clouds outside, filling the hallway with warm, golden light. Wendell looked up at it and whispered, "From now on, I'm doing things our way." The following morning, the usually cheerful halls of Royal Prep felt unusually heavy. Students whispered as Wendell walked by, their voices carrying a mix of awe and concern. Some still talked about the glowing vines and flying books from yesterday's magical mishap. Wendell kept his head low, his hat drooping and his steps slow. Sophia watched from across the courtyard as he made his way toward the classroom. She could tell he felt terrible. He had spent most of the night helping Flora and Fauna fix the damage from his spell gone wrong. Even though everything was restored, his confidence wasn't. When she caught up with him, he offered a small, tired smile. "Hey, Sophia," he said softly. "Thanks for helping me yesterday and for not giving up on me." "You don't have to thank me," Sophia replied kindly. "That's what friends are for. But you should probably talk to Headmistress Flora. She's not angry, but she is worried." Wendell sighed. "I know. I've been trying to figure out what to say." He looked down at his wand, its handle still faintly glowing from yesterday's chaos. "I wanted to prove that my magic mattered, but I just made more trouble." Sophia smiled reassuringly. "You made a mistake, not trouble, and you're not the only one who's ever messed up trying to do something big. What matters is what you do next." Later that morning, Wendell stood nervously outside the headmistress's office. Through the crystal windows, he could see Flora floating gracefully at her desk, reading through parchment scrolls. He took a deep breath and knocked. "Come in," Flora's gentle voice chimed. Wendell stepped inside, clutching his hat in his hands. "Headmistress Flora, I just want to say I'm really sorry for what happened yesterday. I thought I was ready to do something advanced, but I didn't realize how dangerous it could be." Flora looked at him over her glasses. "You understand, Wendell, that magic, especially creative magic, requires both imagination and discipline. Your talent is great, but your focus must match it." "I know," Wendell said earnestly. "I was trying so hard to show that my way worked, that I stopped listening to others and to myself. But Sophia helped me realize something. My way doesn't have to mean alone." Flora smiled gently. "That's a wise lesson indeed." She floated closer, her wand glimmering softly. "You remind me of a young wizard I once taught. Brilliant, determined, and just a little reckless." "Cedric?" Wendell guessed, his lips twitching into a small smile. Flora chuckled. "The very same. And he learned, as you will, that true magic comes from the heart as much as the mind." Relief washed over Wendell. "So am I still allowed to stay at Royal Prep?" "Of course," Flora said warmly. "We do not turn away potential. We guide it. But perhaps, for the next few weeks, you'll work closely with Princess Sofia on your assignments. She seems to bring out your best magic." Wendell's face brightened. "Yes, ma'am. I'd like that." When he left the office, Sophia was waiting just outside. "So," she asked, eyes wide with hope. "She didn't expel me," he said with a laugh. "Actually, she wants me to work with you." Sophia grinned. "See? I told you it'd be okay." That afternoon, they met again in the garden to practice small, harmless spells, making flowers bloom, summoning soft lights, and even creating tiny floating stars that drifted lazily above them. As they worked, Wendell's confidence returned. He moved slower now, more mindful, but his magic glowed stronger and steadier than before. Sofia watched proudly. "You've really come a long way, Wendell." He smiled at her, genuine and bright. "I couldn't have done it without you. I guess sometimes even wizards need a little royal wisdom." Sofia laughed. "And sometimes princesses need a little bit of wizard wonder." As the sun set, golden light painted the castle in warm hues. The two friends sat side by side, their magic shimmering softly in the air, proof that even mistakes can lead to something truly magical when guided by friendship and understanding. The next morning, Enchantia Castle gleamed beneath the golden sunrise. Birds fluttered between the turrets, and the courtyard buzzed with excitement. Today was a royal prep magic showcase, where students would demonstrate what they had learned, and Wendell had been chosen to open the event. Sofia arrived early, her amulet glimmering in the light. She spotted Wendell near the stage, pacing nervously, his wand tucked behind his ear. His usual playful grin was missing, replaced by deep concentration. "Hey, ready for your big moment?" Sofia asked gently. Wendell gave a shaky laugh. "As ready as I can be. I just keep thinking about last time. What if something goes wrong again?" Sofia placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "It won't, because this time you're not doing it your way alone. You're doing it our way, carefully, together." Her words grounded him. Wendell nodded, inhaled deeply, and smiled. "You're right. This time, I'll let the magic flow, not force it." When the showcase began, Headmistress Flora welcomed everyone with a wave of her wand, releasing a flurry of sparkles. "Today, our talented students will share their magic, creativity, and heart." Wendell stepped onto the stage as the crowd hushed. Princess Hildegard, James, Amber, and the fairies watched with anticipation. Even King Roland and Queen Miranda had come to see the young wizard perform. Taking center stage, Wendell looked out over the audience, then over at Sofia, who gave him an encouraging nod. He raised his wand, his voice clear and steady. "Today, I want to show that magic isn't just about power, it's about harmony." With a graceful flick, he whispered an incantation. Light flowed from his wand in gentle spirals, forming glowing vines that danced through the air. This time, instead of spreading wildly, the vines intertwined gracefully, creating a floating archway of sparkling flowers above the stage. The crowd gasped in delight. Then Wendell added a touch of charm. "And sometimes it takes a little help." He gestured toward Sofia. She smiled, lifted her own wand, and together they combined their magic. A soft breeze carried golden petals that shimmered like tiny stars. The archway transformed into a radiant garden of light, peaceful, balanced, and breathtaking. Applause erupted across the courtyard. Headmistress Flora clapped proudly, and Fauna's eyes glistened with tears. "Perfect control," she whispered. "Perfect heart." As the performance ended, Wendell lowered his wand, looking overwhelmed but joyful. "It worked," he whispered to Sofia, his voice full of disbelief and pride. "It did," she said warmly, "because you believed in yourself and trusted others too." Later that afternoon, as students mingled and shared laughter, Wendell found himself surrounded by friends, something that hadn't happened often before. Even Amber complimented him. "That was actually impressive," she said with her signature poise. "And not one explosion." Wendell laughed, scratching the back of his neck. "Yeah, I'm working on keeping explosions out of my spells." As the sun began to set, he and Sofia walked together along the garden path, their reflections shimmering in the fountain water. "You know," Wendell said thoughtfully, "I used to think magic was all about proving myself, showing everyone that I could do something special. But now I think the real magic is learning from others and using what's inside you to make things better." Sofia nodded, smiling. "That's what being a great wizard or a great princess is all about." He grinned. "Maybe we make a good team after all." "Definitely," Sofia agreed. Just then, a small burst of glitter appeared before them, a magical message from Headmistress Flora. Her voice echoed gently in the air. "Well done, my students. You've shown that the best kind of magic comes from kindness, courage, and friendship." Sofia and Wendell looked at each other, and laughed softly. As the stars began to twinkle above the castle, they sat on the edge of the fountain, watching the night unfold. The garden glowed faintly with the remnants of their spell, a symbol of teamwork, growth, and the beauty of finding one's true path. Wendell leaned back, gazing at the sky. "You know, I think I finally found my way." Sofia smiled, her amulet gleaming softly. "I think you did, Wendell." And with that, the two friends watched the first star appear, its light reflecting in their eyes, a quiet reminder that even the smallest spark, when guided to a heart, can shine brighter than ever. Sparkles the end. Sparkles